My protagonists have to be people that I know. People whose lives are just inflicted by drudgery and routine, and these people too. I'm talking about our parents and our uncles and our aunts, and all people wake up every morning with a new dose of optimism, knowing that the day is going to crush their dreams, and then in the evening they come back home tired. The next morning they do this again, and they persevere in this life of drudgery. And they do this for the sake of the people they love. So I decided to write about those people.
The search for a fulfilling life is a recurring motif for the characters of Ritesh Batra's films, especially visible in one of his most popular works, The Lunchbox. The film has been widely hailed for its beautiful writing and inspired filmmaking, but we think there is another level that we can go to. That the journeys of characters in his work is a journey of them understanding happiness.
मैंने कहीं पढ़ा था, कभी कभी गलत ट्रेन भी सही जगह पहुंचा देती है.
The Lunchbox follows the lives of Ela and Sajan, who, by an improbable mix up in the infallible lunchbox delivery system, find their lives entangled. In the story, the exchange of letters, which become the metaphorical Galat train, which leads to the Sahi Jaga, has the characters start their journey towards a happier life. But what does happiness actually imply, both for the characters and for human beings in general? For that, we have to understand how happiness has been studied in the field of psychology. In the aftermath of the Second World War, the field of psychology largely focused on fixing individuals suffering from the trauma of war. Most efforts were spent in analyzing negative emotions that made someone dejected with life and trying to cure them or deal with them. In 1998, a contrary school of thought was made popular by Martin Seligman, who chose positive psychology as the theme during his term as the president of the American Psychological Association. Understanding positive psychology entails the study of an individual's relationship with their past, present, and future. In his book Authentic Happiness, Seligman formulates that happiness H is a combination of three distinct factors: the set range S, circumstances C, and voluntary control V. H here stands for enduring happiness. It's long lasting and is not to be confused with pleasure, which is momentary. In the film, Sajan eating the lunchbox by himself gives him momentary pleasure, whereas the gratification of sharing his lunchbox with Sheikh leads to a friendship that leads to enduring happiness.
क्या बात है सर, आज तो बड़े खिल रहे हैं. क्या बात है.
The set range S involves an individual's genetics or a person's inherent natural capacity for happiness. C is basically the circumstances of our lives. In the film, Ela's emotions are a product of her being a middle class housemaker from a middle class neighborhood. And V is voluntary control. The outlook, interaction, and reactions of a person have a great say in our experience of happiness. It is this aspect of the characters that is the most interesting. How do they become happy, and what does Ritesh want to say about happiness through them? Seligman breaks down voluntary control into three constituents: the past, present, and future. He states that we is dependent upon our satisfaction with the past, optimism about the future, and mindfulness for the present. It can be argued that the lunchbox follows the same structure in its storytelling, but with one crucial perspective. Ritesh always stays in the present. His characters move through time as the audience perceives it, and the past and future are always put in perspective by the present, a causal chain that can be traced back and forward in time. Ela's character in the story starts off being engulfed by her responsibilities as a wife, as a daughter, and also as a mother. She is bound by these roles that she plays in her daily life to a point that she can't see beyond them. On the other hand, Sajan is a grumpy widower who is about to opt for voluntary retirement. He hides his loneliness behind a veneer of routine and work, closed off from his surroundings. Almost as if to be ironic with the lead characters who are constantly feeling lonely and alone, the film is set in the teeming metropolis of Mumbai. The letters act as triggers, setting off a series of reflections within Sajan and Ela about their own past. Ela's complaint about her absent husband through a letter triggers Sajan to open up about his dead wife, which in turn reminds Ela of her dead brother and her time with him. But Ritesh's genius lies in how he uses characters around the protagonists as echoes of their past and future. This allows him to give us a glimpse of their backstory and their future selves without having to leave the present. Sheikh, played beautifully by Nawaz, is such an echo of Sajan's past. They are both from minority communities, both are orphans, and both share an affection for their partners. His actions and Sajan's reaction to his actions give us a window into Sajan's past.
You'll be a good husband, Sheikh.
Thank you very much, sir.
Similarly, Ela's daughter Yashvi is an echo of Ela, dealing with a depressed mother and an absent father. She reminds Ela of the past, and her future is reflected in Ela's present. While Yashvi serves as an echo from her past, Ela's mother is a reflection of the future Ela rejects, an old woman tired of the roles society dictated for her to stick to.
भी रोज रोज माँ का नाश्ता, दवा, नहाना, नाश्ता, दवा, nahana.
Once her husband dies, she is left like an empty shell, not knowing for the first time what role to play. The only thing she can think of is,
अब सिर्फ भूख लग रही है.
Sajan's reflection is the man he meets on the train.
आप नासिक जा रहे हो?
Having done everything right according to what society expects of him, the man perhaps makes Sajan think of all the life that he has left in him, which he is resigning to being bottled up within him for the rest of his days. His fingers moving with the energy of unexplored possibilities. Once they face their past, reflected in the people around them, along with the letters that act as a catalyst, the protagonists begin to appreciate their present.
मैं बताऊँ हम क्या खेलते थे?
क्या?
रुक, पहले तो ये खोल देते हैं.
It is as if they are removing a blindfold from their eyes, noticing their present in a new light. There's a mindfulness that is associated with being in the present, marked beautifully like this.
A different man daydreaming on the bus there. A stray dog gallantly crossing the street. Whatever catches the painter's fancy on that day. And in one of them, I saw myself.
This is the we that Seligman talks about in his paper. The characters navigating their past and being mindful of their present is propelling them towards a more fulfilling life. But how does one deal with crisis in a happy life? The death of Ela's father and Sajan's realization of his old age are the lowest points of their characters' journeys. This is where Ritesh introduces the future. He uses Bhutan as a metaphor for this utopian future, a geographical antithesis to the sea-locked Mumbai, hinting perhaps at the vastness of the distance between the present, which is Mumbai, and their imagined future, which is Bhutan. But this future, paired with their coming to terms with their past and mindfulness of their present, drives the idea of hope in the protagonists. And that is where the film ends. The quest of the protagonists to reach Bhutan, or the promise of happiness doesn't rely on their momentary pleasure of meeting each other. They now have the tools to be happy, given to them by a twist of fate that was the lunchbox and each other's companionship. The film becomes a reflection of the audience's loneliness and a treatise on the meaning of being happy. Whether Ela meets Sajan or not is irrelevant in a tale which, in essence, is about the universal human struggle, happiness.
People would tell me what my movie was about, and I would cringe because I would be like, "This is not what it's about, you idiots."
कांटों को मुरझाने का खौफ नहीं